Hallo, mein Name is Alexander. Ho hat het. I'm going to do a commentary video for Napoleon Total War multiplayer. I command the United Netherlands, and my opponent is T. Nooner in command of Great Britain. We'll look at my troops first. I have 6 units of these Dutch flancour, and those are light infantry, and they're intermingled with my regular line infantry, and they look pretty much the same. Here I have 2 squadrons of light horsemen. Those are my hussars, and I put them together. And I have 2 teams of these 7-pounder howitzers. So I really want my firepower for this battle. Here's a close-up of the Dutch flancour. They look pretty cool. Alright, here's my general staff. That's my general. And here I have 2 squadrons of the carabiner. Those are heavy horsemen, but they don't have the kind of armor that the French carabiners have. But they still look pretty cool. Alright, let's go look at the British army commanded by T. Nooner. He has 2 units of riflemen. Those are skirmishers with pretty good range. Then he has 4 units of artillery. 2 are 6-pounder horse artillery, and the other 2 are 2-pounder foot artillery. Alright, let's go look at the rest of his troops. He has... what's this? That is a horse guard. He has 2 squadrons of horse guard. And then he has 2 more squadrons of other horses, which we'll talk about later. Here is a light foot unit. Those are kind of like skirmishers. Then he has a elite foot guard unit. He has 1 of those. Then he has 1 unit of the regular foot infantry. Then he has 5 units of the fencibles. And I think fencible is a pretty good choice because British units are pretty expensive. Alright, that's his general unit. That is a general staff. And I didn't show you, but my opponent also has 2 more horse squadrons. One is a dragoon guard, and the other is a regular dragoon. And he started off the battle by crashing into my skirmishers. And that was because of the way I advanced. He saw an opportunity and he took it. Very aggressive. And he routed one of my skirmishers. Over here, he wasn't so lucky because I had my carabiners nearby, so I countercharged his dragoons here. So those dragoons won't be able to last too long against my carabiners. And you can see on my right flank that my opponent also launches forces on this sector as well. So here comes his horse guards. Those are very elite British units. He's going to crash into my carabiners over there. But I'm going to concentrate on showing you this fight first. This is on my left flank. There he withdrew his horses, his dragoon guards, when he saw my infantry coming up, and then he charged my other infantry up the hill. But I formed my guys into a square, so that's not going to go too well for his dragoons. Alright, back to the right wing over here. This is the action. My carabiners are pretty good, but they're not as good as the horse guard, so my carabiners rout. And I wasn't too worried about that. I guess you could say I didn't carabine. Alright, so I countercharged with my hussars. And in a 1-on-1 equal fight, hussars would lose to horse guards, but since his horse guards were depleted from the previous fight, my hussars were able to rout this unit of elite British cav. So they're going to bug out of there for now. And I chased him for a bit, just because my horses can keep pace with them, because they're light horses. And this was his other charge. And I was able to get my guys into square. So here he should have withdrew immediately. Oddly enough, my opponent's horse guard, they lasted about 5 minutes against all my troops over here. So I was a bit surprised at how well the morale was kept up with his horse guard. But still the outcome was a foregone conclusion in that situation. But, what's this? Alright, I pretty much reassembled my army after his horse charge at the beginning. So now I'm going to proceed forward, and I'm going to bring up my howitzers. And you can see I'm shifting my horses to my left wing, and that was for a reason. I wanted to take out his artillery opposite my left flank. In any case, this little hill that I'm on, this is in the middle of the map, so typically players would fight for this central location. But since he gave up that piece of terrain, and since he's content to sit back with his artillery and shoot at me, I decided to play the same game. And I have my howitzers targeting his army. I decided to take a few shots at his general, just to demoralize his men. Unfortunately, he was able to retreat his general without losing his general. Alright, so now my opponent, he doesn't like all the explosions that my howitzers are causing, so this is going to induce him to press forward here and try to take out my howitzers. But in response, I'm going to bring up my infantry off of this hill so I can fight in front of my howitzers. And you can see in the background that my howitzers are making quite an impact in this battle. Alright, so he is launching this weighted attack on my left flank, or so it seems, but then he shifts his attention back towards my center here. So that was pretty good, because it gave me enough time to bring my troops in the center down and form up for battle. And while my opponent is taking his time in assembling his army in front of my hill, that is going to give my artillery some time to launch some more blast at his troops as they come by. So every second he wastes assembling his troops is going to be costly for him. So my opponent is going to get a little desperate here. He's going to charge without launching a few musket volleys. And he's engaged with my skirmishers, and while they're caught in my skirmish screen, my line infantry just behind are going to take some nice little musket shots at those British troops. I think my opponent could have avoided this kind of situation had he fought for the center, as opposed to sitting back and letting me take control of it. But it's still going to be a nice little fight here. And yeah, his troops are clustered right there, and that's when I brought up my skirmishers on both wings and started shooting at that big horde of red troops for the flanks. And as they retreat, I decided to target that big mass with my artillery, and I'm going to save my horses for the attack on his artillery pieces. But yeah, all these guys are going to leave the battlefield. They're not going to come back from routing here. And yeah, I've got my artillery going at them, and that'll help keep their morale down so that they don't come back from retreating. Alright, this is action on my left flank. This is many minutes later. I was able to occupy that building by his artillery, and I was afraid that as I advanced forward here into his flank that I would take shots from his skirmishers, but he had no skirmishers on this side. But the only thing shooting at me was his artillery, and that was semi-bearable, just because I had my guys in a loose order formation. And you can see him using his canister shots on my troops, and this is also when I was able to bring up my line infantry. So my guys are going to exchange musket fire with my opponent's canisters, and at the same time I have the support of my skirmishers inside that building back there. So after a time elapsed here, you can see that his troops, his artillery, are going to rout because they don't like being shot at by those muskets. And I'm pretty sure nobody likes being shot at with muskets. But yeah, they take a few more shots, but eventually they will rout. There you go. That is his artillery crew routing. And if you'll notice from the mini-map, this is my opponent's right flank. So I'm going to press forward here so I can roll up his right flank down to his center. And my opponent gets a little desperate here. He's going to take his general staff, and that was his only unit in the sector, so he's going to charge into my infantry as I advance. And my infantry could have easily beaten back these guys by themselves, but since I had my hussars nearby, I decided to countercharge from behind, and that is also going to kill his general too. Alright, so I now control his right flank, and that's going to be certain doom for his army. And all the meanwhile, my artillery is still shooting at his main body of infantry. So there's my howitzers doing their thing, and my opponent is going to advance yet again. But I have my guys outside of the forest taking shots at his advancing infantry. And you can see that the combination of musket fire and especially the howitzer blast are already routing some of his units. And I'm not sure who destroyed that structure in the back. I didn't do that. I've been targeting his infantry. But here comes his dudes, and my artillery is going to keep shooting. And this is when I took my horse units, and I decided to pretty much run down his artillery line. And my opponent has no response to that. He has some riflemen on his extreme left, but they are not going to play any part in this battle. You can see their flag in the back, but yeah, I'm going to continue to destroy his artillery. And now my opponent is surrounded. He has my infantry in front and my cav behind him. So he's going to go in the safest direction. He's going to go forward here. And all the meanwhile, he has to look out for my artillery. And if you'll notice, my artillery is shooting really close to my own troops, but that's fine. It's only a game. And that artillery blast destroyed his morale, so once he touched my skirmishers, his guys routed. And look at that, just for good measure, my artillery decided to shoot my own troops. Alright, this is the big mass of British troops who crashed into my right flank. And I'm going to do a classic hammer and anvil charge with my hussars on his troops here. So his guys are going to rout. Alright, so that is going to start the rout of the rest of his army. And they're going to try to escape. But that's pretty much the end of the battle. And look at that, my own guy shot right into my formation of horses. Not very safe. Alright. There's my horses. They're charging out. But the battle ends. Anyways, a good game to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed this battle.